enduring various forms of suffering, but we are enduring the suffering of the stripping of our parishes from the ancient Roman right of our forefathers. And this is what our own trad forefathers suffered back in 1969 across the world. And in fact, that situation was a lot worse than the situation we face now. So we are currently suffering a lighter scourging from God's permissive will, permissive wrath. We are currently suffering a lesser scourging, a lesser suffering. And this what Dr. Shaw writes here is so acute, because this is the attitude that we need to have when we encounter any suffering whatsoever, whether we deserve it or we don't, because ultimately we are not given our lives because we merited it. We didn't merit to be born. We didn't merit to be created by God. God created us out of nothing by a pure act of grace. And he gave to us the true faith, and he baptized us as a pure act of grace. We didn't merit that. And we certainly didn't merit to have the ancient Roman right of our forefathers. We don't deserve that. And so if God takes it away by his own permissive will, it is an occasion for us to reassert we need to be humbled under the mighty hand of God. We need to suffer well. We need to offer up penance and to consider the suffering that we face as punishment for our sins, or as well as offering up suffering on behalf of our brother, on behalf of the sinner, on behalf of making reparation for evil clerics. This is the proper Catholic attitude to have when we encounter the suffering, and it's extremely difficult to have this attitude. It's extremely difficult when you're wronged by an abusive father, because you are wounded in your heart. You are wounded deep in your heart, and we're all wounded. We've all felt this. We've all felt like abused children. And yet this Lent, I believe that this is what God is calling us to in this greater devotion to truly purify our hearts. In the book of Deuteronomy, Moses says that God led you, Israel, through the desert to see what is in your heart. Is God leading us, trads, through the desert to see what is in our heart, to see if we can purify our hearts, that we may truly offer the Latin Mass of our forefathers with a most pure offering, an offering that is purified in the fires of suffering. So all of these things we pour into our offering in Lent.